Hi friends, welcome to the Red Bank Public Library and our program called Family Storytime on Race and Diversity. I'm Sira Williams and we're celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month, but it's also election season and there are a lot of important topics being discussed by grown-ups at home, at work, with people that we agree with and people that we disagree with. And here's the thing, kids are overhearing all of it. And one of those topics that's in the news, on social media, and in conversation is immigration. And I really feel like this is an issue that families need to talk about because it impacts our communities, and our children need to know where their families stand on these issues, what their values are, so that they can reflect them when they're at school and when they're out in the wider world meeting new people. And so I hope that those values include kindness and tolerance and openness and acceptance. And it starts by talking with each other, by sharing experiences with each other, and maybe by reading stories to help spark some of those conversations. That's what we do in this program. That's what we're going to do today. We're going to read this story called Spanish is the Language of My Family. But first, I want to start our conversation by asking you, where does your family come from? Do you speak any other languages in your home? My family doesn't, but I know a lot of families that come to this library that speak both English and Spanish. And I know that there are other families in New Jersey who speak other languages, like Hindi and Korean and lots of other languages. Because did you know that pretty much everybody's family came from somewhere else at some point in their history? It's true. Like my family, my mom's family came from Germany, and my dad was from Mali. That's in West Africa. Maybe your family is Italian or English from England, or maybe you're Nigerian or Ukrainian. Millions and millions of people from all over the world have come to the United States throughout our history to find a better life. And so when people do that, when they leave their homeland to go somewhere else, to another country, to make a new life, that's called immigration. And like I said, that has been happening in America since the country began. Really, there's only two kinds of Americans who are not here because of immigration. The first one is our first people, our indigenous people, our Native Americans. They were here from the start. And the other is those who were brought here against their will as slaves. Coming here because of slavery is not immigration. And we've talked about slavery in other programs, and we're not going to talk about it today, but just understand that. What we have talked about is that no matter who you are or how you got here, what color you are, what language you speak, we all, everybody deserves to be treated with respect and dignity. There's no question about that. And so when this doesn't happen, when people aren't treated fairly, especially when our laws and our policies and our institutions treat people unfairly because of their differences, that can cause harm that can last for generations through the years and affect families for a long, long time. So I want to quickly show you a demonstration. I like to always show you what I'm talking about so that it sticks in your mind. So you see what I got here. Here we go. This is what happens when our policies and our laws and our actions and words discriminate and are unfair and mistreat people and are unjust. It makes a mess. It makes a big mess. And it hurts people. It doesn't just hurt their feelings. It does. Of course it hurts your feelings when you're treated differently because you're different. But it can also hurt your opportunities to thrive and to succeed. And it has effects, like I said, that can last for generations. And so this is a mess that cannot be put back in the tube. You understand? We can't just say sorry and make it better. We have to take action to clean up this mess. And even though it might not be our fault, even though we didn't make the rules, even though we might not treat people unfairly, we can all do our part to make it better. And so we help to clean up the mess when we speak up, when we see someone being treated unfairly, when we march, when we protest. We're taking action. We're using our power to help clean up the mess. When we vote, we are helping to clean up the mess. And kids can help clean up the mess too by, like I said, being welcoming and open to new and different people and making friends. And that, when we all work together, we're using our power to clean up this mess. That's what we're going to see and learn about in our story today. All right? The story, again, is called Spanish is the Language of Our Family. And I just want to remind you that it is okay. It's actually a good thing to read stories about people and places that you're unfamiliar with. Like, as a Black woman, it's okay. It's actually a good thing for me to read a story about a Hispanic boy and his family. It's a book that has Spanish words in it. It's a good thing because that's how me and you are going to learn about their culture, their language, and some history that we may not know. And we might discover things that we have in common with each other. And that is a beautiful thing. The other thing is that if you are a Latin American child and you see yourself in the pictures of this book, how amazing is that? It's great for any person of color to see books that reflect their experience. It lifts you up. It helps you feel important, that your story is being told, and every child deserves that. So we're going to read this. It's called Spanish is the Language of Our Family by Michael Genhart and illustrated by John Para. And it does have Spanish words in it. I'm going to do my best. All right? Let me scooch. Every year at my school, there's a spelling bee in Spanish. I'm the first in my class to sign up because Spanish is the language of my family. Es la lengua de mi familia. I already know how to spell many words. Familia is family. F-A-M-I-L-I-A. Juntos is together. J-U-N-T-O-S. Corazón is heart. C-O-R-A-Z-O-N. Every time you see the word spelled out like that, he's practicing spelling them. I might not read them all. I don't know how to spell some words yet. My abuela helps me prepare. Hay una lista de palabras. We carefully review each word. Hermosa is beautiful. Orgullosa is proud, and fuerte is strong. When she studies with me, my abuela shares stories of when she was a little girl. She tells me things were very different back then. The rule at school was English only. Speaking Spanish was not allowed. Manolito, el español no estaba permitido, she explains. It's hard to imagine not being allowed to speak Spanish. Abuela tells me on the playground we would sneak in Spanish. You did? I ask. But we'd get in big trouble, Abuela continues, if we ever got caught. ¿Qué pasaba, Abu? We were punished, she tells me, and we were told that Spanish and anyone who spoke it was wrong. or worse. I was sent home for speaking Spanish to a classmate, Abuela remembers. I feel so sad hearing this and her other stories. Your auntie, Tia Pancha, got spanked with a paddle for every Spanish word she spoke. And mi amiguita, Kika, had her mouth washed out with soap for speaking Spanish. Fea is ugly, F-E-A. Mala is bad, M-A-L-A. Sucia is dirty, S-U-C-I-A. Abuela and my family are not ugly, bad, or dirty. Nuestra lengua no es mala. I work even harder. Práctico y práctico con mi abuelo. I must remember that some words have special letters and accents. Daño is harm. ¿Por qué is why. Bilingüe is bilingual. I'm climbing a high mountain. I know I can reach the top, just like I know I can win this spelling bee. Tengo fuerza. Práctico, practicing, like climbing a mountain. But studying all these words is hard. Sometimes I get frustrated and tired. Abuela makes me churros, and Mama and Papa tell me jokes. Delicioso is delicious. Risa is laughter, and apoyo is support. He's learning to spell each one of those words. On the day of the contest, my family gathers in the audience. Their cheers give me confidence. Me siento apoyado por ellos. One by one, we are called up to spell. My first word is poderoso. I take a deep breath and begin. P-O-D-E-R-O-S-O. Poderoso, powerful. Abu es poderosísima. I feel powerful, proud, and strong, just like Abu. I spell more and more words correctly, and then it's down to just 2 of us. The word is vergüenza. Vergüenza. V-E-R-G-U-E-N-Z-A. My schoolmate makes a spelling error. I watch him walk slowly back to his chair. Now it's my turn to spell the same word, shame. I know about this from Abu. I misspelled it too. We start again. When my classmate spells the next word, he leaves out a letter. I can feel my heart beating faster. I take another deep breath. Woof! This time I got it right. There's only one more word to go. If I spell it right, I will win. Respeto. Como el respeto que tengo por Abu, por mi familia y por mi lengua. Respeto. R-E-S-P-E-T-O. The judge says, correcto. My family cheers. My abuela is crying. And at that moment, I know we both won today. Abuela hugs me tight and says, Mi corazón, felicidades. Te quiero mucho, Abu, I say, full of pride. Triunfante is triumphant. Sanción is healing. And amor is love. Those are 3 perfect words to end that story. I really like that book. I learned a lot. Did you see the mess that those rules made and the effect that they had on Abuela? The hurt and pain that she felt even as a grandma. She remembered how traumatizing that was when she was a little girl to be punished for speaking her native language. That was just so unfair. And so what we learn in the back of this book, in the back matter of this book, is that children who grew up in that time, like Abuela, who were not allowed to speak their language and who were literally punished for it, when they grew up, they didn't teach their children how to speak Spanish. They thought that that would be hurtful to them, and they wanted their children to have a better life. And so they only made them speak English. And that's a problem because that generation lost a connection to their community, to their culture, to their language. And that's terrible. That shouldn't happen, right? And so we learn in this fact matter that there are people that took action to change, to make change, and to clean up that mess. Laws were put into place to allow for bilingual education so that children didn't get in trouble for speaking Spanish. They had teachers who could teach them in Spanish while at the same time they learned to speak English. And so that helped those children to thrive and to grow. And then the Spanish language spelling bee, that's a real thing that was instituted. Let's see if I can find it. The Spanish language spelling bee was started in Albuquerque, New Mexico in 2011. And its founder was David Briseño. And he was inspired to start it to help children connect to their language and to lift them up. And it's still going today, and more than 14 states participate in it. And that is an example of somebody taking action to help clean up that mess and make a change, a positive change for people. And so these are some of the things that you can talk about with your families. And I just want you to remember that when you hear someone speaking English with a speaking broken English, or not being able to come up with all the vocabulary words, or having difficulty and struggling with their vocabulary, remember that this is their second language, maybe their third or fourth language. Have you taken a foreign language at school? You know that it's hard to learn a whole new language. And so you should be impressed by the fact that they are trying and working towards speaking a new and different language, and understand how super smart they must be for speaking multiple languages. And know that many of the people that come here from other countries, they were teachers and doctors and business people who are starting over new here in America, and that they are strong, they are brave, they are resilient for making that choice and being determined to start fresh here and make a new life for them and their family, and try to get to know them and be open to those new possibilities. So these are things that you can talk about with your families. There's other themes in this story that you could talk about too. I love the fact that this boy was studying with his abuela, with his grandma, and that intergenerational communication. She was able to share stories with him while she helped him about her childhood and teach him about history that you're not going to learn in schools. You're not going to learn about the fact that these children were not allowed to speak English when they came to America in school. And so that's so important. And maybe that's something that you can encourage in your family, that intergenerational communication. Take what you will from this story and this conversation and keep the conversation going. Don't forget to take some peace and love with you and pass it on. Please, please, please. Have a great day. Thanks for joining me.